Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Mayhem live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. Unfortunately, I just got notifications just a moment ago that Michael Bullock and Dee Woodson will not be able to be on the show tonight. So, for tonight and tonight only, you're going to get basically the WrestleMania crew, myself and Anthony Florio, running a two-man weave here as we're going to be going through AEW and Smack, and we're going to talk about NXT as well. And of course, guys, if you guys been living under a rock, there was some big news that came out today that might affect us significantly as it pertains to future content on the wrestling forum. Now, I'll get it out of the way now because it needs to be addressed. Earlier today, the city of Orlando announced, due to the coronavirus, that all places in Florida, well, in Orlando, is to be now under mandatory stay at home, which means that WWE, starting at midnight on Friday, will no longer be able to film anything at the Performance Center. That means, as it stands, this will put a major hindrance to future Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns and NXTs. Now, a lot of people are like, well, what about WrestleMania? Weren't they supposed to do that at the Performance Center? Won't that be affected? The answer is no. Because WWE has done the unprecedented step and is currently taping WrestleMania as we speak. So, WrestleMania is being taped today. There will be more tapings of WrestleMania tomorrow. And WrestleMania will happen on April 4th and April 5th, no questions asked. However, after WrestleMania, this will be the last event, possibly, on the WWE Performance Center, and there lies the problem. We got content from now until next week. So, Friday night, Cerebral Smack Talk will go off. No problem. And we have all of WrestleMania week. After Mania, that's where the gray area begins. We actually don't know what the future may hold. Which means, just like with Strictly Sports, unfortunately, Wrestling Forum might have to go on hiatus. We don't know how this will affect when it comes to AEW, because if this is just an Orlando thing, you kind of have to feel like Jacksonville will follow suit because, being that close in proximity. So it might be one of those situations where starting in a couple of weeks, we might have to shut the whole show down. We were forced to shut down on Strictly Sports because of all the leagues shutting down because of coronavirus. If now it looks like with WWE shutting down, if AEW shuts down, well, unfortunately, guys, ball game over. We're down and out. There's no content to work with. So we are monitoring the situation. And if we are forced to shut down, then unfortunately it must have to happen. Do we want to shut down? Absolutely not. But it might be out of our hands at this point. So we'll keep you monitored, and we hope that we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks As of now, we're good from now all the way up to WrestleMania. Once we get to WrestleMania, that's where all bets are off. So if Orlando shuts down, is it possible Jacksonville shuts down? And if Jacksonville goes down, then we lose AEW as well. So just to give you guys a heads up, it's going to get interesting in the next couple of weeks. So, but I can confirm that WrestleMania is being taped. They started tonight. There will be more tapings tomorrow. And then after that, WWE will most likely go on hiatus. For how long? We don't know. AEW, the ball's in their court. But I don't know if we should even be covering AEW without NXT as part of Wednesday Night Mayhem. So that's something that I'm going to have to bring up with the guys ourselves and get into a very serious conversation. Not tonight, because we're gonna cover this, but it's gonna have to be addressed within the next week and a half. So we'll see. All right, guys. So with that said, I hate to have brought the mood down, but it had to be addressed. Now we get into the fun and why you are here tonight. So we will start off with AEW. And once again, the AEW was this week. Let's see if it... I believe it was from the same location as it was a week ago. Sorry, I'm just trying to grab this up. And once again, it was from the Daily's place in Jacksonville, Florida. And we did start off with the first fight of the night, Cody versus Jimmy Havoc. And when it was all said and done, Cody won the match in 10 minutes and 21 seconds. And I'm going to say this was a pretty good fight. Solid match. I'll give this about 3 stars just to start off. I thought it was a solid... it was solid for what it was worth. There were some points where it was good, but it wasn't great. Overall, it was good and it was enjoyable. But as far as it being like spectacular, like amazing, unfortunately, it didn't meet the standards that normally we kind of see or we always talk about. Unfortunately, again, good, but not great. Anthony, it's yours.
Well, I'll tell you what, Meth. I'm right there with you. Let me see. This to me was my second best fight of the night. I gave this 3 and 3.25 stars. It was a good opening match as Cody continues to deliver. Havoc has been fun in this year so far, transitioning away from a hardcore only guy into a proper wrestling guy. So yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. So 3.25 stars, second best fight of the night for me. So let's move on.
Next up we had was Darby Allin versus Kip Sabian. And Darby Allin wins the match in 11 minutes and 31 seconds. Anthony, you've been very high on Darby Allin. Another impressive performance here tonight.
Absolutely. A small step down from the previous match. Solid 3 stars for the effort. It was another good and competitive match with the right man going over. No question about it. Yes, I continue to be high on Darby Allin. And I also continue to be high on super bad Penelope Ford. I mean, I love her. I mean, I like to see her get some more opportunities down the road. But for right now, Sabian, he held his own. So that's all I can say. So solid 3. And like I said, once all this craziness goes away, fat chance that happens anytime soon, Darby Allin, in my opinion, is definitely one of those big rising. He's going to be a fast rising star. And I believe he's going to have a very bright future ahead of him. There's no doubt about it. So solid 3 for me. So MF, your thoughts.
Agree. 3 stars, no doubt about it. Good match, solid fight. Really got nothing else to add. Unfortunately, guys, now we got a couple of cutouts here on AEW. Jake Hager versus Chico Adams. Jake Hager won the match in 1 minute and 1 second. I mean, there's really nothing to add here. This was a Hager spotlight fight, so I really got nothing else to add. Then we got Brody Lee, the Exalted One, Brody Lee versus QT Marshall. Brody Lee won the match in 2 minutes and 53 seconds. This was a squash fight. This was to make Brody Lee look strong. You know, he is the Exalted One. Now you're finally going to get to see him outside, no longer in that Bray, in the Wyatt family type gimmick. Now he's his own man now. So now you're going to see something a little different, which was fine. I mean, it was what it was worth. It was solid for what we got. And well, there's really nothing more to add. The biggest fight of the evening, for the first time ever in the history of AAA, the AAA Mega Copion was on the line. The reigning champion, Kenny Omega, versus the challenger, Sammy Guevara. When it was all said and done, the winner of the bout in 23 minutes, 25 seconds, and still AAA Mega Copion de Físico Completo, Kenny Omega. He is still the AAA World Heavyweight Champion. 4.5 stars and the fight of the night. This was an excellent match, to say the very least. It was, I hate to say this, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I felt like the ending was rushed. I know they were kind of going for time and everything else. They didn't need to rush the ending. The match was already getting into great level. It was an incredible match. If you gave this maybe a couple of more minutes, we'd be talking 5 stars. Like, it was that great of a fight. But unfortunately, they did rush the ending. I had to punish it a little bit. That's why it didn't get the 5-star level. But this was an incredible match. It spotlights AAA in such a high regard. To see their world title on the line in AEW, and for the first time ever in U.S. soil, to see the AAA world title being defended in the United States is a big deal in itself. But to have this match happen, this was a great matchup. Of course, Sammy Guevara was originally a Lucha Underground guy. Kenny Omega, one of the best wrestlers around the world. This was a great matchup. This delivered. Fight of the night. 4.5 stars. Anthony, go.
4.5 stars. Very good and well done main event match. Kenny Omega is great, but the way Sammy Guevara has grown since AEW's conception and acclimated to TV wrestling has been very understated and underrated by many. Yes, Bullock and I give him a hard time for, being a ham and egger and all that good stuff, but he can back it up. And he proved that here tonight. And outcome was never in doubt. I had a feeling Omega was going to go over. But hey, at least we got a damn good match out of it. And far and away the bright spot of this show this evening. So 4.5 stars. I 100% agree. Fight of the night. So we got a big confrontation in the main event here.
Yeah, it was Chris Jericho, and he was met up by the Woken One, the Broken Matt Hardy. So, Anthony, give me your thoughts on the main event segment.
Well, it depends on how much you like the Broken Matt stuff. Considering how much we love it. I mean, I love it, and Bullock loves it, but I thought overall it was fun. Not great, but it did continue the build to the Blood and Guts show very well. So that's really all I can really say on it. I mean, solid, not overly spectacular. So it's great to see the character back. I mean, I love the character, you know, the whole green bean shtick and all that. So, yeah, a solid way to close out the show, and I give them all the credit in the world because Blood and Guts was supposed to be tonight. It was
Yes,
supposed to
it
happen
was.
tonight, but unfortunately, with all the madness in the world nowadays, that cannot happen right now. But I do give them credit for holding it off, and I think what they're really going to do is they're going to hold this. They're going to hold that out long enough until we get the all clear, whenever that is, until we get some sort of an all clear signal that we can go back to normalcy. Because when it comes to the Blood and Guts match, especially with it being a War Game style match, it must, I repeat, must be done with a live crowd.
They
Amen.
were they were talking about maybe doing it in Atlanta. Maybe they're gonna wait for the calendar to come around. Maybe they do this in Atlanta because that was the original plan. They wanted it to do it in Atlanta, Georgia, because I think that's where the original War Games were held.
Yeah.
So
The original it was originally supposed to be tonight at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, but obviously with all the nonsense right now, that can't happen. I mean, we're still on quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it, but it is going to happen. Don't get us wrong, it's going to happen. But I think the only way it's going to happen is it's going to happen. It has to happen in front of a live crowd, and the only way that happens is until all the suits and all that give us an all clear. We don't know when that is at this point, and that's sad.
yeah.
Move on, MF.
All right. Overall review. I gotta give this an 8 out of 10. I thought this was a solid show. I mean, the only down we had here tonight was really just the two squash fights, the Brody Lee squash fight and the Jake Hager. But everything else was solid. I mean, the main event. I mean, the two main event segments. I mean, the fight of the night, Guevara versus um, Kenny Omega for the AAA World Title, and how that fight really, like, that's an absolute great build if you think about it for AAA. I mean, what a moment for you guys, a feather in the cap to AAA for giving Kenny Omega the okay to defend the world title on AEW, and to give him and to at least trust him enough to give him the opportunity to do that, because a lot of times companies don't allow their champions from another organization to do what Kenny Omega just did. So that was a big deal. That's a huge deal what he did, and it worked. The match was amazing. So we'll wait and see what happens. Of course, the Matt Hardy thing with Chris Jericho. I mean, yes, if you love the Woken gimmick, you'll love it. If you're kind of new to this, who's probably not a traditional wrestling fan, you're probably like, what the hell was this? So, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was good. I enjoyed it. And I really got nothing else to add. So, Anthony, 8 out of 10 for me. So it's yours.
I got to be a little more lower here. 7 for me. I can't quite give it 8.
Okay.
It's mainly because of the two squash fights. That's what killed it for me. But it wasn't just really that. It was not as good as last week's effort due to having to drop the guys in the crowd and not having any big surprises. This week's episode of Dynamite was not as strong as last week's show, but overall it was still good. Cody Rhodes was great on commentary. He was a great mix of a knowledgeable veteran wrestler and an excitable fan. And I thought he and Tony Schiavone worked very well. And how cool was it to have Tony Schiavone doing lead commentary for the first time in forever?
Yeah.
I mean, I was having flashbacks. I was having flashbacks to the old WCW days when he was the man on Nitro and pay-per-views. But I mean, first time in forever. I mean, because he's been in more of an analyst role with JR and Excalibur, and you can pretty much say the same thing for the work he does with Major League Wrestling Fusion. But it was great to have him as the lead for this evening. It probably will be this way unless JR and or Excalibur and or Taz get an all clear wherever they are. So Jake the Snake Roberts, he cut another great promo. The wrestling was good. They put people in position to pick up needed wins, and they delivered in the right spots. So, and those constant cut-ins to that undisclosed area, I thought that took it a little bit away from me as well. So, good show, but another good show, but it was not as amazing as last week's was. So, I can only give it a 7 out of 10 for me. So, that's all there is to say. So, let's move on to NXT. And while it may not have been a good show, we definitely got some newsworthy stuff out of it.
Absolutely. Started it off with Austin Theory versus Tyler Breeze. Austin Theory wins the match in 10 minutes and 7 seconds. You know what? I'm gonna reset it and I'll say this was a good start, a good match, solid fight. I'm gonna say it was a solid. Well, actually, Tyler Breeze won the match. I'm sorry, not Austin Theory. Tyler Breeze won the match. Yeah, I'm gonna say it was a good match. It was a good fight, and I thought this was at least about I want to say of maybe 3-star match to start off. So not bad. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Like I said, going into this, this was not an overall, not the overall best of shows, but here's the thing. This match here, I could probably give this about 2.5 to 3, if I'm going to be honest with you. The lack of a crowd hurt this match, as the energy of the contest remained neutral throughout. While both men are talented, they did not click, especially since their taunting lacked the crowd reaction to feel right. It was nice to see Tyler Breeze getting a win. He's been stuck in his own rut lately with Fandango injured. Defeating Austin Theory shows that Tyler Breeze is not just waiting for his tag team partner, and that he could be a threat to anyone on the black and gold brand. So that's really all there is to say on it. So 2.5 stars really for me. So let's move on.
Killian Dane was in a squash fight. He won his match in 3 minutes and 39 seconds. We're not going to really talk much about him, about that. Then we had Cameron Grimes versus Tony Nese. Cameron Grimes wins the match in 5 minutes and 35 seconds. So, Anthony, do you want to give a quick thought about that?
2 3/4 star. That's the best I can do, if I'm going to be honest. What is it? The technical savage that is Cameron Grimes continues to put on decent NXT matches, but he's not quite hitting that next level yet. This may work remaining where he is in NXT. However, he needs to hit a higher gear if he ever wants to make it to the main roster. This was an odd pairing that was necessitated by a smaller roster available. It's unlikely WWE will ever return to this match, as the two can both do much better with others. So, but I am going to give it 2 3/4 stars. So, MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, I could give it about 2 3/4, no doubt. I think this was a solid fight. It was really, it's a good credibility win for Cameron Grimes, and with last week's with being like an all promo night, you could definitely tell they were definitely looking for wrestling tonight. They were definitely trying to up the ante with the wrestling. And, I know we don't really talk about it, but I got to give it up for Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips doing NXT tonight. I really feel like, with them doing the commentary for the show tonight, it felt better. It felt like the old school NXT in a way, because they used to be the voices of NXT at one time. So I feel like this was a breath of fresh air, to say the very least. Don't get me wrong. I love Mauro Ranallo. I love Beth Phoenix. I love Nigel McGuinness working together. But to see Saxton and Phillips work together tonight, I thought it was a breath of fresh air, and it was a welcome change, honestly. All right. So with that said, we're going to move right along. It was Aaliyah versus Io Shirai, qualifying match for the NXT Women's Title, No. 1 contendership ladder match. Io Shirai wins. 1 minute and 22 seconds. You know what? And she started she won the match, got on the top rope with the evil laugh, saying in Japanese that she was the best female wrestler from Japan. Interesting that you said that, Io, because I think there's a certain someone, a screaming Japanese lady on Monday Night Raw that might beg to differ. I think we might have ourselves a little bit of a possible showdown down the line. I don't know. We'll see. So next up we had was Keith Lee. They cut a promo talking about Keith Lee getting attacked. So it led to a chat with Donovan Dijakovic, and I like it. I thought this was an excellent promo of the night for me. There was one that was even better than this. We'll get into that in a little bit. Anthony, I thought this was really done. This was done really well. So, what did you think?
Solid segment, MF, as it always has been between these three guys. But nothing really happened here. A short brawl does less for these men than having them talk more. Lee and Dijakovic, they have obvious chemistry. The Archer of Infamy is talented and unique with the build to work well with these fast heavyweights. 2 weeks from tonight, the triple threat. They will have a triple threat match. And man, or actually no, it's next week. I stand corrected. Next week, we're going to see these three in a triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. That's got potential to be something really special. So that's all there is to say on that. Solid. So let's move on.
All right. Right after that, we had, let me see, it was actually a tag team fight, as it was Shane Thorne and Brendan Vick, and they went up against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and when it was all said and done, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch won the match in 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Anthony, if you want to talk about it, we can. If you don't, then we'll just move on.
No, we can get into this.
All right.
What did I have? This it's a no rating, but Lorcan and Burch have the ability to make any match fun, even another squash. However, Thorne and Vink needed to make more of themselves here if NXT ever wants to use them. It's a shame that Thorne, who came into NXT as a tag team specialist before his partner was released, is back to working in the division. Vink does not stand out. It would be better if Thorne was still working with Nick Miller. That's all there is to say. No rating for me.
Agreed. No rating. I'm not even gonna go any more higher than that. Next up, we had was Candice LeRae versus Kaden Carter. Also a women's qualifying match. And when it was all said and done, Candice LeRae punches her ticket in to the women's number 1 contender ladder match. And yeah, it now adds Candice LeRae, Mia Yim, Io Shirai, Tegan Knox, Chelsea Green are now all in the mix. And Anthony, I kind of am starting to sense a little bit of a heel turn for Candice LeRae as well. Did you notice that tonight?
Not really. I didn't pay much attention to this match because I flip between both shows every week,
Oh.
and this was no exception. However, there is one spot left. There's one spot left, and next week is going to be what they're calling a second chance match. And I told you they were going to do this. Every woman who lost the qualifying matches, that meant Dakota Kai with Aaliyah, Shotzi Blackheart, Kaden Carter, and I can't put my finger on the other two who are going to be in it, but all those women who, well, I think there was one other, but I might have forgotten, but it doesn't matter because next week, second chance match, and whoever wins will get the last spot. And I'm already going on the record. Dakota Kai is going to win that match because I believe in my heart of hearts she deserves to be in this match, whether you like her or not. So, but as far as this match is concerned, this was not much more than a squash match, but at least the short contest felt solidly competitive. Candice LeRae needed the win, but it would have been nice for Kaden Carter to get more time to show her talent. There are a few women more deserving of a major opportunity right now than Candice LeRae. She's been stuck in terrible stories, yet stolen the show every chance she gets. It would be interesting to see what Candice LeRae and Rhea Ripley could do together someday. But for right now, this was a 2-star match at best. So, nothing more to say. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. This was a 2-star fight. Very solid match. Very good battle. And like you said, Candice deserves the spot. Hopefully she'll get the opportunity, but we'll wait and see what happens there. And it was a little bit of a squash, but really nothing much to add there. So, yeah, next up we had was Matt Riddle versus Roderick Strong. Matt Riddle wins the match in 7 minutes and 34 seconds. I guess, Anthony, we can call this by default the fight of the night. This was an excellent match.
I wouldn't quite say excellent, but it was good for what it was. Yes, I agree. By default, it was the fight of the night, even though it wasn't exactly a wow match. I will give it a solid 3 for the effort. Riddle and Strong were the first wrestlers of the night to have a complete match that felt like it didn't matter, that there was not a crowd to watch. However, it did feel like it ended abruptly. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these two Samoan savages come in, they bull rush Matt Riddle. Island Boys 3-minute warning 2.0. It's like they've been resurrected. And the arrival of Malcolm Bivens and his tag team was a good moment. It'll be interesting to see how they fare. Malcolm Bivens is a great manager, and he can make anyone feel like a big deal. What do you say to that, MF?
Well, dude, this is Stokey Holloway from Ring of Honor. That's who Malcolm Bivens is. That's Stokey Holloway from Ring of Honor. I basically had when I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute, is that Stokey? I'm like, no, you gotta be kidding me. Who the hell are these two guys? So I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, Ring of Honor, Stokey Holloway, and he's got these two guys with him. I'm like, uh-oh. They are now a legitimate threat, guys. They just threw themselves right into the fire. And could you say possibly the new AOP of NXT? Because that's what I'm thinking right now.
They kind of remind me of a second coming of 3-minute warning.
They do. You could call it an AOP. You can call them 3-minute warning. Whatever you want to call them. Call them challengers. Call them threats. And call them the next contenders. The next contenders to the NXT World Tag Team titles. So, oh yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see. All right. So then was the main event. Triple H, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. They talked. They went at it. They didn't throw down, but they did everything that they needed it to do. Then Hunter's like, you know what? We're going to do this. I'm going to provide you guys an empty building with a referee. He says, you know, whatever happens here, he says, this fight continues after the match. That neither Gargano or Ciampa will be in NXT. Hunter says he's going to give Ciampa and Gargano a note for a secret location for this match. Empty arena or wherever this location is. These two men are going to fight. And they're going to end it. A referee will be there, and these two guys are going to tear the house down. Now, the question is this going to be a future NXT? Even though, like I said, we're running a little short on time now because, you know, how much did they record? How much recording did WWE going to get between now and by midnight on Friday? Because
they promoted Gargano said 2 weeks. They said something about 2 weeks, so maybe in 2 weeks.
It's possible. Hopefully.
Maybe it won't be in Florida. Maybe because I've been hearing, I've heard of 2 other possible locations. In addition to the Performance Center. One, I guess there's some sort of a 3D suite in the Performance Center, from what I'm hearing. And the other would be at Titan Towers in Stamford, Connecticut.
Well,
think about that.
But I don't know if they're it. Well, I do know that they were looking at building a new Titan Tower, but I don't think it's built yet. Because they are moving out of the old Titan Tower in Stamford, but they're not moving too far. It's just a few blocks away. There's a new Titan Tower that's supposed to have a new facility, something a la like a Performance Center type building, but I heard it's not even built yet. Or it's in the process of being built. So, I don't know. Maybe it's that 3D thing that you're talking about?
3D
Maybe?
Suite. The 3D suite in the Performance Center.
Maybe?
I heard they have some kind of technology for it, so...
They could do that. Or, like you said, is it possible that they could do it in Stamford? But again, would they want to do it in Stamford, Connecticut? I mean, it could be anywhere, guys. It could be anywhere. But 2 weeks, oh boy, there's going to be some fireworks, no doubt about it. Anthony, quick thought.
NXT has been far too defined by this feud for too long. It is time to end it. That said, this was an incredible promo segment that benefited from the quiet arena. Gargano and Ciampa sold the emotion of the moment with Triple H. The one oddity was the delivery of where the men would fight. Why did they need to fight in an empty arena where no one else could know the location? That came off a little bit too silly for this serious moment. But like I said, it was an amazing promo segment. And you noticed we got that little glitch there. We had that little hocus pocus there at the end. Killer Cross is there. Killer Cross. Oh.
Yes, he is there.
We know We know what he did in TNA. He ran roughshod in TNA. Just
Mm-hmm.
imagine what he can do once he gets to NXT. Oh boy!
And not only that, but there's also a certain femme fatale
Oh,
that's also going to be there too.
his girlfriend
Get
Scarlet
ready for
Bordeaux.
Smoke Show NXT.
Scarlet Bordeaux.
Yep.
Oof,
So,
my.
so it's going to be interesting. All right, Anthony. So why don't you give us your final thought? What did you think about? I know you weren't too high on this show, but
No.
what was your rating for NXT?
Well, spoiler alert. AEW wins the week yet again. Barely though. This to me was a 6.5 out of 10. While none of the matches this week were anything special, it was a good show. It was a mostly enjoyable show. They threw a fair amount at us. They set up some matches for next week. They brought back Io Shirai, introduced Malcolm Bivens, as he's now known as, and they showcased Killer Cross. Enjoyable stuff. And on the show next week, you got that big triple threat match: Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, Damian Priest for the North American Championship. That second chance gauntlet match with all the women who lost their previous qualifying matches. They will be in that. And we'll also see the Velveteen Dream go one-on-one with Undisputed Era member Bobby Fish. So there's your show next week. So not much more to say. 6.5 is, I believe, the correct rating for this show tonight. So I got to say, once again, AEW wins the week. So, MF, your final thought?
I can't disagree with what you just said. I got to give it about 6.5 to 6.75. And that's really nothing else to add. So we're just gonna call it here for the night. So guys, like we said, Friday night is another edition of Cerebral Smack Talk. We will have SmackDown Live, and then after that, it's WrestleMania week, starting with Monday Night Raw. It will go through Wednesday, which it will be, which we will cover AEW and NXT. Friday, we'll have SmackDown review, and then we will do the unprecedented 2-night preview of WrestleMania. And then, depending on the time and everything else, because of the fact that we might not have a night after Monday Night Raw, I might actually put the review of WrestleMania on Monday night at a special start time of possibly 10 p.m. We will wait and see. We do not know what WWE is going to do yet. But if this is truly cease and desist, we will do the show on Monday night at 10 p.m. And that might be our last show for the time being. We don't know. So, like I said, with this lockdown order in Orlando, the Performance Center will be out of play. Then it becomes, where does WWE go? Do they move it to Stamford? Is there another location they can do this? Or are they going to have to scrap it all together? So, we're just going to have to wait and see. So, thank you, Anthony Florio, as always. For Michael Bullock, for Dee Woodson in spirit, Derek Ferreira, as always. For Anthony Florio, I'm Michael Fletcher, saying so long, everybody, and we'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good night, and so long for now.
Goodbye.